Damon Martin MMA fighting here with the new one heavyweight champion of the world, Arjan Bhullar. Arjan, first let me open by saying congratulations on an amazing win. Is it nice to hear that title now? One heavyweight champion.
Absolutely. There's only one. There can only be one. There was only ever one. I am your boy, the heavyweight champ.
I love it. I love it. We spoke after you initially went into one championship. You got your first win, but the last year has been kind of trying. We got to be honest. The pandemic hits, shows are getting canceled, fights are getting moved around. Everything's kind of going crazy. You had to wait for, this title fight. We knew it was coming, but it got delayed, pushed back. Kind of give me like the anticipation, like how that year was for you, and then finally getting in there and then doing what you did, which I imagine you couldn't have written a better ending.
Absolutely. The year was trying. It's the longest I've ever been away from competition since I started competing as a little kid. So I didn't like that at all. But the whole world had to adjust, and there's people dying and losing loved ones out there. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt and keep things in perspective. And then I look at it from another angle. Yeah, it's frustrating. We got booked multiple times, canceled multiple times, but within that, it made me appreciate being able to compete, and kind of rejuvenated my desire for that. And now that I got a chance to do it again, I was going to jump all over it.
Absolutely. Now I hear this from a lot of different guys I've talked to over the years. Some people, when they have that kind of time off, it's tough to come back, not only for ring rust. I know ring rust is kind of almost a controversial subject in MMA. Some people say it's not real. Other people say it absolutely is real. But just, the timing, the things you miss by not being in the cage constantly. And I know you, as you said, you wanted to be active. I know a part of the reason, I remember you telling me the reason you wanted to sign with one championship was because you would be more active. Of course, you couldn't predict a global pandemic would hit, but how did you deal with that in terms of training, getting better and staying motivated? Because gotta be honest, man, like I would say like 9 months into it, I'd be losing my mind, like not being able to do what you love.
Absolutely. And there were those moments. Absolutely. We had that conversation one to be active, and that was definitely one of my biggest draws. But again, it was out of my control. So you focus on what you can control, and what you can control is going to training, getting better every single day, and just when that phone rings, be the best version of yourself and show improvement over that year, and know that most likely the guy I'm competing against hasn't been doing that, and probably on movie sets and TV sets and that type of thing. So just improving and focus on what we can do.
Yeah. And we saw it in the performance. I mean, obviously it looked like you took advantage of the time off because you came back with a certain kind of fire and and motivation to go out there and do what you did. I mean, obviously you got a great team behind you, great people you work with, but do you feel like if there was one benefit to the time off is that you got better? I mean, it feels like we saw like, Arjan Bhullar 2.0 or maybe 3.0 at this point. I don't know where you're at, but it felt like you came back a better fighter.
Absolutely. Like I said, that's what we could control, right? Was getting better. And that's what we focused on. Eventually I gave way to the universe or whatever you want to call it, that, hey, whenever it's going to work out and we get a date, we'll just be ready and be the best version. And I think we showed that. When we got into this game, it was Arjan Bhullar, the wrestler, first. Then we got into it and I was like, hey, he's got some hands. And I really wanted to showcase that, hey, we can beat anyone everywhere. We got multiple paths to victory, complete martial artist, and world class at that. So, and I think we showed that in this fight, that we're able to blend different martial arts and be world class in multiple areas and have multiple paths to victory.
Yeah. The way you dismantled Brandon Vera, who obviously had been a long reigning champion in one championship, to go out there and do what you did. And listen, I think we all love, a good one punch knockout. You get in and get out of there, but you had to spend a little bit more time in there with him getting into the second round. Are you happy in a way that it played out the way it did? Because you did get to show off a little bit more what you've been working on. I mean, again, I'm sure you would have loved to knock out 30 seconds into the fight, but I think we saw more of your weapons. We saw things you've been working on, and then to dominate him the way you did. You look at Brandon Vera's you look at the guys he's fought, Randy Couture. I mean, he's just a list of Hall of Famers. It's rare anyone's done that to him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Generally, especially earlier on around that era, it was okay. You try to pressure him. You don't want to stand with him. Guys did not want to stand with him. And that was even true now. But then even when they stood with him and they took him down, he wasn't easy to take down or even keep down, and it would still be a long, drawn-out war. So we took kind of both of those away. We were comfortable standing. We heard him there. We took him down, and we finished the fight there. In fact, I think we probably could have finished it near the end of that first if he didn't latch onto that Kimura on the way down for the takedown. So, but yeah, I'm happy exactly the way it planned out or it played out. We were able to show that we are complete and we have a complete game against a guy who's very experienced, who's very well rounded, and spent the majority of his life in this sport.
Yeah. You mentioned, the downside of the year off is that you're not fighting, you're not active, and you're not, getting your championship. But in a weird way, does it all pay off by this kind of performance to go out there, dominate a guy like Brandon Vera, and now you are the one heavyweight champion? Like it's the gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a lifetime of work. Obviously, I'm putting in the work and I'm competing, but a giant family around me and individuals that have come and gone in my life, but the majority have remained. From wrestling to MMA, coaches, teammates, family. It's just everyone has a piece of this belt, and I want to do it for them just as much as myself. And then do it for India and Indian fans. I get fulfillment from that, and like I said, legacy is a big deal to me, and so I wanted to get this done, and so I know I have a piece of legacy secured.
Yeah, I know when we talked when you first signed with One Championship, when you were a free agent from the UFC and you went to One Championship, you told me all the reasons why you did that, but again, ultimately it's about the payoff. You want to make sure you're justified in your decision. You know what I mean? Do you feel like, I mean, everything, I know you've been nothing but happy with One Championship up to this point, from my conversations with you anyways, but in terms of now that you are the champion, you know what that road would have looked like in the UFC, just because, again, unfortunately, and again, I'm not knocking the UFC, but there's no rhyme or reason sometimes to title shots in that organization. We know that. To go to One Championship and get appreciated the way you were from day one, to get put in this title fight opportunity, to have this, big main event, all those kind of things. Like, does it feel like it kind of justifies that you made the right call when you said, hey, because you could have gone anywhere. We know this. You could have gone back to the UFC, but you made the decision to go to One.
Absolutely. And it was on a One Dungle event, all India team. That's what it was about. So when I was a free agent and I had these options, it was that we looked at. And One just laid out the roadmap. We want to go to India. We want you to lead the way, and this is how we're going to do it. So there was a plan for me in particular within the giant scheme of things. If I was able to put in the work and get my arm raised, big things could be possible. So yeah, just like you said, it just worked out beautifully, right? And definitely we lost a year because of the pandemic, but we got the India event. Dungle, perfect story. I can tell my story of Dungles and my family lineage a part of that. We're building my hero, my brand with the mace and being able to tell that story and connect with Indian fans and everything. Just you can go out there and fight anytime. I can go out there and fight now. Set something up the street. It is what it is. But you want to be able to do all these other things, and One was a clear favorite in that, and it worked out beautifully.
I know, throughout interviews and throughout your career, and you mentioned it, being an inspiration to India and representing India. I know, I pay attention to the news. You pay attention to the news. You know what's going on in India right now. It's a tough time. And listen, we've all gone through it. We had it here, and we're not through the pandemic. We're obviously coming out on the other side, and things are looking up. All those kind of things. But to have that moment, when you did, and I don't want to get like too emotional into this, but like, did you feel that energy and that appreciation? Because again, when you're in a bad way, whatever the situation is, I mean, obviously a global pandemic is a whole other animal, but to serve as that inspiration, to serve as that moment of levity, just to give people something to cheer for. You know what I mean? Like that's so huge.
Yeah, absolutely. What's happening on the ground out there, Damon, is terrible. The devastation, loss of life. I've said it, in certain parts, you can't even have proper burials and funerals for those that are passing. They don't even know where to cremate bodies. So it's a tough place, and hospitals and the health systems overrun. But we've helped wherever we can, and actually we've got a significant announcement coming in the next week or two to help further with that. And I just wanted this. Sports brings people together. It gives hope. Yeah, it brings positivity, and I really wanted this event and this victory to do that, and I felt it has. There was great reactions from throughout the country there, and sometimes you just need that. That hey, take it a day at a time. There's someone fighting for us in Singapore, and we'll continue fighting. And that was just my messaging heading into it, even now on the back end of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Arjan, you're a mixed martial artist, first year champion now, and I'm sure you're looking forward in the near future to your first title defense. But I know you talked about this a lot lately, and I am and have grown up as a massive professional wrestling fan. I actually went to professional wrestling school once upon a time.
Okay, what did you go to?
I went to a Les Thatcher school in Cincinnati, Ohio. I actually trained with John Moxley. I came up with Nigel McGuinness. You know, Nigel McGuinness is from WWE. He actually trained with me when I started. So I know those guys. So I love pro wrestling. And I heard your interest in pro wrestling. And I was immediately like, okay, well, I'd love to talk to you about nothing but MMA, but we're going to have to talk about pro wrestling. So it sounds like you are getting kind of serious about this.
It was serious from the get-go, and it is serious. I'm picking a fight with these guys, with the entire industry, AEW, WWE, it doesn't matter. When I actually signed over from the UFC, we had language in our contract that would open the door to this. So this was we had some foresight on this. Both industries, there's a blend there in terms of fan crossover. And like I said, I want to pick a fight with these guys. I think they're tough guys in the industry. I think I'm tougher. For the WWE, India is their biggest market. They had over 20 million people tune into one of their last events. You want India, we want India in terms of MMA. It all works. AEW, same thing. The TNT deal crossover with one, amazing. Kenny Omega was helping out with promos for this event with Shinya Aoki. Jinder was helping out with me. He had John Cena helping out with Vera. So it's all there. And we had conversations with the companies heading into this fight, and they're getting a little more serious now on the back end. And within all that is Chatri and one, and I think we could be able to find some common ground and value for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, I know you actually you kind of become friends and worked a little bit with Jinder Mahal, who's obviously a fantastic talent from WWE. From what I heard, though, your all-time favorite is my all-time favorite. The best there is, the best there was, the best there will be. Bret the Hitman Hart. It's so funny. So real quick, funny story. So when I started doing pro wrestling, one of my first matches in the actual like gym, everyone knew I was a huge Bret Hart mark. I was the biggest Bret Hart mark. So one of the guys I was working with, when we were calling our match, he actually did for the finale. We were doing a tag match, and he's like, "Do the Bret finishing sequence." So I got to do the elbow off the second rope, put him in the sharpshooter, and that's how it ended. So I am a huge Bret Hart fan. So can I imagine there's a sharpshooter somewhere in your future? Is what I'm saying here.
Oh man, we did sharpshooters around the house forever. Hart. I'll give you a little funny story with Hart. So I was a huge fan, obviously, growing up. One of the reasons also because the Hart Foundation, they were the first click. They were before the NWO, before DX, any of these guys, and they're all family. So I connected with that because I felt that when we used to go wrestle, it was all family. So I like that aspect of it. And obviously, Davey Boy, the big match out in Wembley. I remember all that stuff. Anyhow, so I'm a big Hart mark for sure. I was able to meet him in grade 10. I was a little kid. I actually met him and Stu. I wrestled at their wrestling tournament, the Stu Hart Invitational. They used to have annually. I don't know if they're still running or not. And I kind of regret this. So I met him, and we had a banquet after, and they were there. And so all the wrestlers from across Canada that were there, we had a team from Japan as well. They're all lining up to take a picture and get an autograph from Hart. And I was the only guy that didn't. The reason being, I was taught growing up from my old man that you're no different. People are gonna want your autograph, and don't be one of those guys that looks up to people. Be special and have people come up to you when you're big and you're a champ and this and that. So I had that in my head, and I didn't grow up and I didn't get it. So that's one of my regrets, and I hope down the line here I'm able to get that actual autograph signing because Although that was a great lesson from my dad, to be somebody in life and accomplish something, so people want to have my autograph. I just think that we've done this, and I'd like to get that now.
Yeah, Brett, I only met Brett once at a Fight Network launch party back in like 2006 in Canada, and he was an incredibly nice guy. He is an MMA fan, you know what I mean? Like he's a fan of that, and incredibly nice guy. And yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I grew up on the Hart Foundation. You know, I can't do it, but I used to crack up with the Jim Neidhart laugh. Like I loved everything about the Hart Foundation, and Bret Hart in his solo career too. Like I said, I was. Bret Hart was my favorite. So when I read that he was your favorite, I was like, oh, there we go, because that's it right there. So now you also have an advantage, Arjan. We got to be honest. Like everyone talked about for years, a guy like Conor McGregor crossing over, and because he's got the mouth, you know what I mean? He can talk, and that's great. But we got to be honest.
And he stole Vince's walk, so that works too.
But Conor, and I love, and this is not I mean, this is just the reality of it. Conor is 5'9" and 160, 170 pounds. Typically those guys are not going to be the ones who are, selling out arenas and doing big things. You are a heavyweight. You are a legit heavyweight. You are kind of what pro wrestling is built around. I mean, that's what we all know Vince's love of the big guys, you know what I mean? So you actually are built for pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely. We've got the fandom. We got the real life, legitimate Olympic credentials, MMA credentials. And yeah, there's no weight like heavyweight. That's what it is in the fight game. That's true in anything in life. And yeah, I mean, you make an accurate point about Conor. Same thing when they brought Floyd over and he's punching Big Show's you had to get on his knees for him to punch him. That's not going to happen. Otherwise, that's a little comical, right? Everyone likes Shaq coming through, whether that's against Cody Rhodes or the Big Show. It's more real. And that's, so I see the value in that, and I think the industry will see value in that. But like I said, I'm picking a fight with these guys, whether it's John Moxley and the tough guy over there, the Inner Circle, the Bellator fighter who's supposed to be blood and guts. I'll go up against Coker's guy, no problem. Or whether that's Coker's guy over in the WWE, Bobby Lashley. He thinks it's the mighty era. No, it's my era. I'll call out any of these guys. And, if it's Jericho, I'll retire him like I did Vera. If it's anyone, I'll talk to Jinder. We'll get Shanky. We'll get Veer. We got our own clique. It doesn't matter. I'm ready to go.
I love it. I got to ask, Arjan, because you are a pro wrestling guy. Do you know your finisher? That's a key in pro wrestling. You got to have a finisher. What's your finisher? Do you know your finisher?
We are working on it as we speak. I am taking thoughts. You're a big pro wrestling guy, so you let me know if anything comes to mind. But I got a few ideas I'm working on in the meantime. But I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, you got the wrestling background, so right away you got some possibilities there. Like I always grew up like I love the big flashy moves. I love, like, one of my favorite current finishers is the Sister Abigail. I love Bray Wyatt's finisher. That's a really unique one. I always liked the reverse DDT. That was another favorite of mine back when Sting first, kind of brought that one to big time. But I love submissions. I've always been a fan of submissions. Obviously the sharpshooter, the Scorpion Deathlock, that move. Like I always love submissions. So anytime you can incorporate a submission, I'm a fan.
I'm torn. I don't know if I go for the power move or if I go submission because of the MMA. I'm trying to actually chew on both angles.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with having two. You can always have a couple. You can have the big impact move, and you can also have the submission at your disposal. Like I said, for a long time, and look at what Daniel Bryan, like what he did. You know what I mean? He's got a couple different moves in his arsenal he could finish people with. So go with that. But yeah, I always loved the submission. There was something cool about seeing the guys tap out or pass out, or you think about the classic Bret Hart, Steve Austin match, passing out. So, like I said, there's lots of options there. As I said, we could talk pro wrestling more than we could talk MMA. I could talk pro wrestling all day. I love pro wrestling. So when I heard you were doing it, I was like, ooh, we got to talk about that.
I'm right there with you.
Well, Arjan, congratulations again on an amazing win. Congratulations on becoming one champion. I know it's been a lifetime of hard work coming to this moment, and now you got it. Enjoy it. Enjoy a little bit of downtime. I don't know. You tell me, like, you had the year off and you just fought. Like, are you planning on, like, what does the rest of 2021 look like for you?
Yeah, I want to compete. Absolutely. But before that, we've got to figure out the pro wrestling angle here. Have some chats with Chatri and Juan and the pro wrestling industry first, and I don't want to wait another year to compete. That's for sure. And then I like to compete.
Yeah. Well, if it sounds like you're good enough to do the promos yourself, but I feel like if you need a promo guy, you could always get Daniel Cormier in there. That guy, if anyone's going to cut a promo for you, man, that guy could be. I think Daniel Cormier would be a great slick in the corner, like a great manager.
Absolutely. We got it already in the gym. We had El Toro, Cain Velasquez already make the switch over. We got DC, who's our Heyman. We got people in house, man. I'll put up DC's mic skills up against Heyman all day. Although I love Heyman, we'll go head to head with him any day of the week. And even over on this side, Taz, no problem. I like the FTW belt. Maybe we go that route and then we get DC involved that way.
I love it. I love it. Well, Arjan, congratulations again on an amazing win. I enjoy it. And like I said, hopefully next time we chat, it's when you're getting ready to jump off the top rope.
I appreciate it, brother.